Well, here we are, 2024. Unfortunately, over the holidays, my dog passed away, but eventually we just gotta move on. So I've gone ahead and put him, put a image of him as my desktop wallpaper here in the meantime. But let's go ahead and start with this first video of the series. So this will be GLDirect 1.01. So you can see right here, we've got hardware acceleration through Direct 3D enabled. And this is version 1.01, even though it says 1.00. So I'll just let IDA load up for a moment. And once it does, I'll just quickly run through the graphics card and all. You already saw that as a S3 Verge DX. So here we go. So the graphics card is just a S3 Verge DX at 50 megahertz with the full 4 megabytes installed. OpenGL, we have supposedly OpenGL 1.2 compatibility supplied by GLDirect, once again wrapping to DirectX 6. So let's go ahead and start. So first up, we'll have WGLGears. So let's just drag this to the side, and we'll let it run for a few seconds, that then the frame rate stabilizes a bit. And there we have it. It looks like the FPS roughly stabilizes around 76 frames per second. And just as an aside, did you know that you can actually move the gears using the arrow keys? And obviously, it is also going to have an impact on the frame rate, since it's going to render more or less things depending on the angle. But that's done and out of the way. So 76 FPS in GL Gears when using GLDirect 1.0. Next up, we're going to go ahead and go into ClassiCube. So we're going to ignore the Direct 3D version entirely, since that requires DirectX 9. Instead, we will be using version 1.3.5 and 1.3.6 of the OpenGL build. And the reason why is because, at least personally, I've noticed some minor differences between the two versions, depending on wrapper used, but it's really not much anyway. So yeah, you can see here that every single texture is missing. So we can't see the ground. Oh, there's the Minecraft music. I might have to turn that down in editing. Yeah, you can see the horizon, which is the only indication that we have a frame rate. If I use fraps with really any of these wrappers, it's just going to show a solid yellow screen instead. So where possible, I will just be using the in-game frame counter. So yeah, you can also see just barely the block outlines from when you're placing and removing blocks. So there's the outline right there. I've just barely placed the block in front of me. So there's another block there now. And yeah, if you really want to play ClassiCube with the worst possible settings, then there you go. That's going to be the end of that, I'd say. So 1.3.6 is going to be more or less the exact same thing as well anyway. So it's going to complain about OpenGL 1.1 being the only version available, once again, just like 1.3.5, even though IDA64 claims that there is OpenGL 1.2 compatibility. Oh, and it looks like that was some water back there that I just went through. So yeah, once again, you can kind of see the horizon, but not much else. And I'm not going to spend too much time on 1.3.6 since its behavior appears to be identical to 1.3.5. Oh, water again. Yeah, it's just very hard to tell what's going on at any given moment in ClassiCube when you're using GLDirect 1.01. So yeah, this is going to be the end of that. So let's see. Next up, we'll run through some Minecraft. So this will be Minecraft proper this time rather than ClassiCube. And this is where the new wrapper file that I was talking about in the YouTube community tab comes into play. So this is just a very basic batch file that wraps launcher itself. And yeah, it just sets up some so-called profile switching. All it's really doing is that it switches out things from these three folders into the .minecraft folder, depending on what's selected. But anyway, let's start things off with Minecraft InDev, aka Classic 0.31, because not all versions of InDev had survival mode at first. Anyway, we're just waiting for the launcher to start now. And we'll run through the full gauntlet of all 5 versions listed here. So InDev, Alpha, Beta, Beta with Optifine, and Release 1.5.2, which roughly spans every version of the game that can be run by this launcher. And it does take a moment for the launcher itself to start up, from what I remember. Come on. Should be starting the launcher. All right, we've got the waiting. It might have just double started the launcher instead. It's a little bit strange how sometimes the launcher takes ages to load up, while other times it starts up almost instantly. Come on, this was working last night. There we go. Yep, it double started the launcher. So, also, now I don't have to blank out the username and password in editing. I figured out how to just feed it the username and password directly from the batch file. So, yeah, give it a short moment and it'll maybe start the game. I honestly do not remember what behavior was in prior testing, just, you know, what happened. But I guess that means that I'll just be here along for the ride and figuring out whatever happens as we go. Oh, and it looks like we're actually going to be loading into a world. So, yeah, give it a moment while it boils the ground and carves the ground and eventually plants the ground. But yeah, so far it seems to be running all right. I do not remember if it'll actually get into the world or not, but we'll see. Now it's growing things. That makes me wonder, though, does that mean that, well, I guess growing could be talking about the topmost layer of grass, and then planting is probably just populating the trees and stuff. And just for reference, the CPU that's being used as well is a 750 megahertz Pentium 3. I'll include further details in the write-up document, which will be in the description below and will be used as a write-up between every video in this short series. Oh, okay, looks like we do have a world load crash, so that's not going to do anything there. And there's the error log. So we can close this now. Yes, yes. And what this is doing right here is that's just clearing out the saves and stuff, as well as deleting the .minecraft file in the bin folder. So now you can see it's copying over the world files, and it also copies over the minecraft.jar for alpha 1.0.4. So this is just a very rudimentary version switching utility that I've written. And if you want to add a new version, you just have to manually add the choices. So once again, we've started up the launcher. And the reason why I'm doing this is because this version of the launcher does not support any sort of user profile switching or anything, but it also runs very reliably on Windows 98. So it's just the launcher that I like to use the most when it comes to these videos. So we saw that indev crashed upon world loading, alpha crashed instantly. Let's see about beta 1.7.3, non-Optifine. Yeah, the launcher is starting up a whole lot faster now. And looks like we've got an instant crash once again on beta 1.7.3. We'll close that, relaunch again. Yes, yes. And now we'll start beta 1.7.3 with Optifine. And let's see if this works. Oh, okay, that's pleasantly surprising. So it does look like Optifine does help beta 1.7.3 at least load. Whether or not it crashes once we get into a world, that's something to find out later. And looking closely at the screen right now, it does look like we have a small amount of artifacting already with that diagonal line right here across the what I assume to be an image texture for the Mojang logo. Give it a moment. It's taking its sweet, sweet time to load, that's for sure. And I guess you might have noticed that the audio, or at least the quality of my voice, is a little bit better. Or maybe you haven't noticed until I mention it now, but I also happen to get a replacement cable for my regular earbuds, which now includes a microphone on it. So I am finally using a more modern microphone again rather than the Apple 1990 something conference microphone that showed up in some previous videos. Oh boy, is this gonna be frozen? I have no idea. One of the big annoyances of Windows 98 and the rest of the 9X family is that there's not really any out-of-the-box solution to see the CPU utilization, but I'd assume that it's been pegged at 100%. But I'm tempted to say that it might just have crashed on the title screen. Oh, no. Okay. I was just about to say that the one thing that was keeping me from just closing and calling it broken was that I was looking at the hard drive indication LED flashing. So, anyway, we have a pre-generated world here. And this will be the same world that's used across both beta 1.7.3 and beta 1.7.3 with Optifine, and it'll reset every time I restart the launcher batch file thing. So it's just a way that I intend to somewhat standardize the testing a bit. And we're getting there slowly. And let's see if we get in the world. I already know for a fact that says simulating world for a bit. Oh, mouse just disappeared. Are we gonna get in? Nope. And we crashed. Program performed an illegal operation. Will be shut down. Yep, kernel 32. Some call that not even kernel EX is able to handle. So we have one last version. Just gonna give my dog a little head pat here while he sat there with, a chew toy on his back. He used to like to use my socks as pillows while he slept, so he was a good dog. He didn't chew my socks, he just slept on them. Alright, and here's release 1.5.2, which is the very last version supported by the old launcher. And if it weren't for the fact that the 1.6 era legacy launcher has automatically expiring profiles that require you to log back in again after a certain amount of time, or else just stop working without internet, then I would be using that since it does work with Java 6. But because of the whole thing about kicking you out and, Microsoft accounts making it so you can't log back in again, there is a patch available called MSA for Legacy that lets you keep using the Legacy launcher with even, I think, possibly modern versions of Minecraft, but that requires Java 8, and I do not have Java 8 installed on this system, so yeah. My whole setup with Java 6 and all is purely because Java 6 only requires a regular Pentium, while Java 7 and above, well, Java 6 update 1 and above, all require a Pentium Pro or above for 686 level instructions. Also, just as a quick aside to the side, GLDirect 1.01 does not show any version string unless you specifically look for it in like the debug information that's spit out sometimes. Or I guess if you use IDA64 from what you saw earlier. Anyway, so the next game that we're going to be trying out is Tux Racer, and I'm just going to make sure that no traces of OpenGL 32 from prior testing is left in the same folder as the executable. So those were just debug files that were spat out by one of the wrappers. This is a seizure warning for the following segment of the video. Please skip ahead to the Half-Life segment of this video using the timestamps if you are uncomfortable with flashing lights. Anyway, here is Tux Racer. Whether or not it works, I do not remember. Ooh, okay. So, yeah, that's gonna need a seizure warning. See if I can get into a game. And it looks like we're immediately just stuck on a white screen. Yeah, I can hear myself moving as I press the arrow keys, but there's nothing rendering on screen. So, yeah. Okay, that's not going to work at all, I guess. So that was an attempt at Tux Tracer. Here is Half-Life instead. So Half-Life, we're going to be running it in OpenGL mode, even though it does support Direct 3D 6. So here's the rendering options. You can already see that it's a little bit garbled. So we're running at 640 by 480 with the OpenGL renderer, medium color quality, display mode normal, all that. And let's pull up the FPS counter. All right, so we've got an FPS counter up in the upper left corner, and let's start the opening tram sequence. One of the things I do remember from Half-Life is that in prior testing, I once again fell out of the tram.
To the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel.
And it appears that we are just stuck.
The time is 8:47 a.m.
Yeah, we're not moving at all. We're just vibrating in place. Okay. And you can see the FPS counter up there. We're at a silky smooth, steady 4 FPS. And the interior of the tram is also completely untextured, which is about what expected for the Verge from everything else I've done before with it. So, yeah, I don't think that we're going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So, let's just quit out of that early. Oh wait, I should have. So another thing that I could have done instead is I can go into the training room instead. So let's go into the training room instead, so that we can actually kind of experience some gameplay. Kind of. And once again, we are down to 4 FPS, so yeah, it's not good.
Hazard course, where you will be trained in the use of the hazardous environment suit. I am your holographic assistant. Let's begin by stepping into your suit. You can see it's
What happened to your face? Oh, those textures are so garbled. Oh, there. But even though it says 4 FPS up in the corner there, I'm relatively sure that there's been several times where we've dropped below even that. Come on. There we go.
Around in your HEV suit can be slightly disorienting at first. Take a moment to
those eyes
familiarize
are not where
yourself
they
with
are
basic
supposed to
movement,
be.
and soon it will fit you like a second skin. I will see you just around the corner.
So, I guess if you really want to torment yourself, this is kind of playable in that you at least know where you're going and can see where you're going, even if the frame rate is absolutely atrocious. So, I think that's enough 4 FPS gameplay for this segment of the video. And we'll end things off with a quick run through of the GLXS benchmark. So let's change this to GLDirect 1.00, 1.01, I guess. Make sure that we've cleared all prior results. We'll be running at 800 by 600, which is the native desktop resolution right now. 800 by 600, high color 16-bit graphics. Run benchmark and it instantly crashes, so no point in running that. Oh look, it's our results. There's nothing. Ooh. Well, anyway, that's the end of this segment of video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you with the next segment where we'll be looking at GLDirect 2.0 rather than 1.0. And we've got a whole lot more wrappers to go still. We've only touched GLDirect 1 so far. We've got GLDirect 2, 3, and whatever variants that those have, because if I remember correctly, both of them have a game and CAD driver, which offer varying amounts of compatibility versus performance. And then we have the two Techland wrappers, CCD3D and S3D, which are DirectX and S3D respectively. And then we've got S3 Mesa and Alt OGL, which are also, once again, wrappers based around either S3D or Direct3D, but are based on the Mesa project rather than written by Techland. So, I'm not going to turn off the system. I gotta just reinstall stuff. Anyway, yeah, thanks for being understanding with me with, everything that's happened, and before that, the delays in the video production and all. But hopefully moving forward, things will be a little bit smoother, maybe. So, thanks for watching.